weren't these? I mean, these are obvious needs. I mean, if you need this, we need this stuff. Why was this not put into the original amount for the max?
Mrs. Branham, would you?
Sure. Yeah, I don't mind, and please chime in. So we originally, when we were first doing the program planning for the bond, and Mr. Longenecker was a part of all of those conversations as well, all of those items were identified as needs, clearly communicated from coaches, from our students giving us that input. Ultimately, as we went on the speaking and listening tours, one of the things that we heard was that final number, I think, intimidated some of our community, and they were concerned that number was too high. And a decision was made at that point to reduce that number and bring it down in scope. We weren't at that time 100% sure on what it meant, what pieces were going to be taken out as a result, just that the scope had been downsized to try to reach that $60 million kind of target number. And so as we've gone through this process, again, really in the past several months, it reemerged of, if we're going to do this, we need locker room. We know we're going to need locker room space. Do we do it in the phase 1 versus the phase 2? And that's really been the conversations that we've had. But it's always been on the list. It was just a matter of determining, was that original number too high for the community when we first went on those listening tours. And please add on.
Yeah. And that first number was in approximately 90.
Correct.
So did the community know what was being cut at the time?
I don't
remember anything at any of the meetings hearing what was being cut to reduce that price.
They never saw a straight comparison.
They didn't.
One list, two lists.
Okay.
The final list was published, but you'd have to come back and done a little research to see what was cut out.
Okay.
Yeah, and as I recall, Ms. Clardy, a lot of the discussion was around more of the higher level cuts, like originally, if I recall, the field was 80 yards and 2 end zones,
Correct.
and it was more of the dimensions that
Correct.
cut the field down and saved on
ceiling
steel
height.
costs, and the ceiling height that
Yes.
cost less than brick, and more of those such sort of things, rather than
And landscaping.
what are the
and all that.
inside, what are the components of the inside guts, if you will. I mean, originally there was a driving range in there that we cut
Correct.
out. I mean, some of those sorts of extras got
Right,
pulled
right.
out,
Absolutely.
but the basic needs and what were in the guts, I don't know that. At least from my memory, and I've slept a few times since then. I don't recall
these are
that.
basic needs. This isn't a frivolous.
And I will
needs.
add, and maybe I'm recalling this incorrectly, but there's a reason that we don't go out to the community with specificity on some of these bond items. And so what we went out with was that we were going to build a MAC
Right.
that would be utilized by fine arts and by athletics.
Yes.
And I think our community assumed that whatever we built was going to meet the needs of
I
those
agree.
two programs.
Absolutely.
And so as we have gotten smarter about what the true costs are as well as what the true needs are, I think we still have a mandate from the community to meet those needs. And
Yes.
so, I mean, to that end, Karen, I don't think people were saying, how many lockers are you including in these buildings? They just knew that we needed to build buildings to support our students in those programs,
Right.
right?
Okay, I got
We
you.
weren't at that level of specificity, nor could we be
No.
when we took a bond to the community.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not
Absolutely.
remembering exactly why that is, but about bonds. But
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a design at that point.
There wasn't a
Right.
schematic.
We were looking at other MACs and other districts and trying to make projections based on what that cost 5 years ago, and rolling that forward with your Turner Index for 7 years to try to get there. So, yeah, that answers it. Yes.
So then once the architect
Can you hold for a minute? Yeah. Okay.
took the into